The shuttle left the valley behind and climbed into the dark sky. Below, the world still looked cruel from above. It still looked ready to kill anything foolish enough to land on it. But now for the survivors inside the shuttle, it no longer looked impossible. It looked beaten. Not by armies, not by weapons, not by one calm human woman with tired eyes and an empty ration pack. No one in the shuttle spoke for a while. The rescued recruits sat in silence, wrapped in emergency blankets, their armor scratched, their faces pale from fear and exhaustion. Some of them stared at the floor. Some stared out the window at the shrinking planet. A few kept looking at the human as if she might disappear if they blinked. She sat near the back, finally resting. Her hands were dirty. Her shoulder armor was cracked. A line of dried blood crossed one side of her forehead. But she was alive. And she was still chewing the last bite from another ration pack. The green-skinned hunter let out a slow breath. She really asked for seconds. The long-limbed alien beside him gave a weak laugh. I still think that part was the worst thing she did. The human turned her head a little. It was not the worst thing. That made two of them laugh this time. Even then the sound was small and tired. But it was real. At the front of the shuttle, Commander Var stood with his arms behind his back. He had not moved much since the rescue. His face was hard to read, but the anger that had been there before was gone. In its place was something else, something heavier, something closer to respect, though he would never say it too easily. The officer beside him cleared his throat. "Sir, the report from the valley is already spreading. Several training staff are asking if the route was changed on purpose." That made the commander's jaw tighten. It was. The officer said nothing after that. A few minutes later, the shuttle docked. Medical teams rushed in first, then officials. Then data officers with glowing tablets and serious faces. The surviving recruits were guided out one by one. When the human stepped onto the station floor, more people were waiting than she expected. Not soldiers only, engineers, trainers, officers, even a few species that had clearly come just to see the story for themselves. Whispers moved through the crowd. "That's her, the human. She survived the valley?" "No, not just survived. She led them out." The human heard enough to know the station had already heard the story. That would have been enough to make most people proud. She only looked tired. A medtech approached with a scanner. "Any broken bones?" She held out one arm. "Maybe one." The medtech checked her and blinked at the readings. "You should not be standing." She gave a small shrug. "I am not standing. I am waiting." The medtech looked confused. "For what?" "Deck, for the commander," she said. That answer spread through the nearby crowd faster than any broadcast. Commander Var walked across the deck toward her with slow, deliberate steps. The crowd opened for him. He stopped a few feet away and looked down at the woman who had embarrassed him, challenged him, and survived everything he had thrown at her. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Var said, "You were not supposed to make it." The human nodded once. "I noticed." A few nearby officers looked shocked. A couple of recruits nearly choked on their own breath. Var's eyes narrowed, but not in anger this time. "You forced me to change the route." She tilted her head slightly. "You forced me to notice." That landed like a blade. The commander was silent for a second. Then he asked, "What are you?" The question came out rougher than he meant. It was not an insult, not anymore. It was real confusion, real curiosity. The human looked at him for a moment, then at the crowd around them. "Hungry," she said. That answer made several people laugh, even some of the officers. Var did not. She continued, her voice calm. "You called humans soft. You said we could not survive the death world. You did not look at the worlds we come from. You did not look at what we learn before we ever leave home." The station quieted. The human went on. "Some worlds teach strength, some teach speed. Some teach Fear. Earth teaches all three. The words settled over the crowd like a warning. A senior trainer stepped forward. Then why were you so calm? But close, because panic does not help. Another pause. Then she added, and because I was still hungry. That got a real laugh from the crowd. Even Commander Var let out the smallest breath through his nose. It was not quite a laugh, but it was the closest thing many had ever heard from him. Later, the official report came in. The Valley Beast had been marked as an apex test creature. The trap system had been designed decades before and forgotten. The route change had pushed the recruits into the oldest and deadliest zone on the planet. Most of the group should not have survived, but they did, because the human had kept them together, because she had seen the danger early, because she had used simple words, sharp thinking, and cold calm, and because she had eaten all the way through it. By the end of the day, the story had spread past the station. It moved from deck to deck, ship to ship, port to port. By the next cycle, new recruits were repeating it like a legend. They said an alien commander mocked a human woman before Death World training. They said he called her weak. They said she went down to Karen 9, survived the worst land on the planet. That always happens with legends, but the last line never changed. The human had looked at the. After that, no one ever laughed at human Death World training again, not even the aliens.
The Krillians' threat echoed through the chamber. War. Destruction, earth burning, every human diplomat in the room went pale. They looked at each other with fear in their eyes. What had Marcus done? He was just a junior officer. He had no authority to make such promises. And now, he had made enemies of the most powerful species in the galaxy. But Marcus didn't move. He stood like a statue, his eyes locked with the Krillian ambassador. "You think threats scare me?" Marcus said quietly. "You think I didn't know the risks before I stood up?" The Krillian laughed. "Then you're not brave, human. You're stupid." "Maybe," Marcus replied. "But at least I'll sleep tonight knowing I tried to help someone. Can you say the same?" The ambassador's laughter stopped. His yellow eyes narrowed with pure hatred. Zara watched this exchange with disbelief. This human was defending her. Fighting. For her, a complete stranger was risking everything for her species. She had traveled across 100 star systems. She had met thousands of aliens. But she had never witnessed anything like this. "Why?" Zara whispered to Marcus. "Please tell me the truth. Why are you really doing this?" Marcus turned to her. His expression softened. "Can I tell you a story?" he asked. Zara nodded slowly. 200 years ago, Marcus began. Humans almost destroyed themselves. We had wars, terrible wars. Millions died. Our planet was burning. Our species was dying. He paused. The chamber had grown quiet. Even the angry aliens were listening. Then something changed. Marcus continued. "We realized that strength doesn't come from weapons. It doesn't come from power. It comes from helping each other, from lifting up the fallen, from protecting the weak." He looked at Zara's silver eyes. "Your people are not weak," he said firmly. "Your people are survivors. You lost everything, and you're still fighting. That takes more courage than any warrior in this room." Zara's tears returned, but these were different tears, not tears of pain, tears of something else, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. The council leader cleared his throat. "This is all very touching, human, but words are cheap. Actions are expensive." He stood from his ancient chair. His gray robes flowed around him like water. "If you truly want this partnership," he said, "you must prove your commitment. Words alone are not enough. The council requires a demonstration." Marcus straightened his back. "What kind of demonstration?" The council leader smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was cold, calculating. "Combat," he said simply. The word sent shockwaves through the chamber. Aliens began murmuring. Some looked excited. Others looked worried. "Combat." Zara stepped forward. "That's barbaric. He's a diplomat, not a soldier." "The rules are clear," the council leader replied calmly. "Any species proposing a major alliance must prove their worth. Physical strength, mental courage. This is tradition. This is law." Marcus felt his stomach drop. Combat. He had basic training. Yes, every Earth diplomat learned self-defense. But he was no warrior. He had never killed anyone. He had never even been in a real fight. "Who would I fight?" Koa Marcus asked, keeping his voice steady. The council leader raised his hand. A massive door at the far end of the chamber began opening. Slowly, dramatically, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the darkness inside. Then he appeared, a Drachner warrior. Marcus had heard stories about Drachners. Everyone had. They were the most feared fighters in the galaxy. Born for battle. Raised for killing. Their bodies were living weapons. This one was enormous, nearly 3 meters tall. His skin was dark red, covered with natural armor plates. His arms were thick as tree trunks. His hands ended in sharp claws, and his face was terrifying. Small black eyes. A mouth full of razor teeth. Scars covering every inch. He carried a plasma axe. The blade glowed hot orange. It could cut through metal like butter. "This is Kroner," the council leader announced. "Champion of the Drachner Empire. He has killed 50 warriors in single combat. He has never lost." Kroner stepped into the fighting circle at the chamber center. He looked at Marcus like a predator examining prey. Then he smiled. Little human Kroner's voice was deep like thunder. "I will enjoy breaking you." Marcus's heart pounded. His palms were sweating. Every instinct screamed at him to run. To escape, to survive. But he didn't run. He looked at Zara. She was crying, shaking her head, begging him with her eyes to refuse. Then he looked at the council. Thousands of aliens waiting to see him fail, waiting to laugh at another weak human. Finally, he looked at Kroner, the massive killer who could end his life in seconds. Marcus took a deep breath. "I accept," he said. Zara screamed. "No, Marcus, please. You'll die." But Marcus walked toward the fighting circle. Each step felt heavy. Each step might be his last. The Krillian ambassador leaned back in his seat with a satisfied grin. "Finally. Some entertainment? Let's watch this human die." Marcus stepped into the fighting circle. The floor beneath his feet was cold metal. Ancient stains covered it. Dark stains, old blood from warriors who died here before. Some stains were red. Some were blue. Some were colors Marcus couldn't even name. How many fighters had died in this exact spot? How many families never saw their loved ones again? Marcus pushed those thoughts away. Fear was his enemy now. If he let it control him, he was already dead. Kroner stood on the opposite side of the circle. The Drachner warrior was doing stretches. Casual, relaxed. Like this was just another morning exercise. Like killing Marcus was nothing special. Human Kroner called out. "Do you have any last words? Any message for your family?" Marcus didn't answer. He was thinking, calculating, looking for any advantage. But there was none. Kroner was bigger, stronger, faster, more experienced. He had natural armor on his skin. He had claws that could tear through steel. He had a plasma axe that could slice Marcus in half with one swing. Marcus had nothing, just his brain, his training, and something else. She stood at the edge of the circle. Her silver eyes were red from crying. Her hands were pressed against the energy barrier that surrounded the fighting area. "Marcus," she called out, "please, there must be another way." The council leader shook his head. "The challenge has been accepted. There is no other way." Fight begins in 60 seconds. Marcus walked to the barrier. He pressed his hand against it, matching Zara's hand on the other side. "Listen to me," he whispered urgently. "I need your help." "How?" Zara sobbed. "I can't fight. I have no weapons." "You don't need weapons." Marcus looked into her eyes. "You told me your people have abilities. You can sense energy. Emotions, you can feel what others feel. Is that true?" Zara nodded slowly. "Yes, but how does that help you? Can you sense him?" Marcus pointed at Kroner. "Can you feel his emotions right now?" Zara closed her eyes. She concentrated. Her purple skin glowed softly as she reached out. With her mind, "Yes," she whispered. "I feel him. He's confident. Arrogant. He thinks you're nothing. Just another easy kill." "Good," Marcus said. "Now listen carefully. During the fight, I need you to tell me his emotions. Every change, every shift. When he's about to attack, you'll feel it before he moves. His intention, his aggression. Tell me everything." Zara's eyes widened. "You want me to predict his movements?" "Exactly." Marcus squeezed her hand through the barrier. "Can you do it?" Zara hesitated. She had never used her abilities this way. Valara were peaceful people. They used their empathic powers for healing, for comfort, never for combat. But looking at Marcus's determined face, she made her decision. "Yes," she said firmly, "I can do it." 30 seconds. The council leader announced. Marcus turned back toward the circle. He removed his diplomatic jacket. Underneath, he wore a simple black shirt. He was thin compared to Kroner. Almost laughably small, but size wasn't everything. Marcus had studied Earth's military history. He knew stories of small armies defeating giant empires, of weak fighters beating strong opponents. The key was never strength. The key was strategy. 20 seconds. Marcus reached into his belt. He had one tool, a small device no bigger than his thumb, a standard human stun stick. It was meant for self-defense. It could knock out a human attacker for a few minutes against a Drachner. Marcus wasn't sure. It might slow Kroner down. Or it might just make him angrier. Either way, it was all Marcus had. 10 seconds. Kroner lifted his plasma axe. The orange blade hummed with deadly energy. Heat waves rose from it. The air itself seemed to burn. "Goodbye, human," Kroner growled. 5 seconds. Marcus closed his eyes. He took one final breath. He thought about Earth, about his family, about everyone counting on him. Then he thought about Zara, about her people, about innocent lives that would end if he failed. He couldn't fail. He wouldn't fail. "Begin." Kroner charged immediately. The ground shook with each step. His massive body moved faster than something that size should move. His axe raised high, ready to split Marcus in two. Marcus stood still, waiting. Now, dodge left. Zara screamed. Marcus threw himself left. The plasma axe crashed down exactly where he stood 1 second ago. The metal floor melted from the heat. Kroner's eyes widened. "Surprise! Lucky move!" the Drachner snarled. He swung again, horizontal this time, aiming to cut Marcus in half at the waist. "Duck!" Zara shouted. Marcus dropped flat. The axe passed over. His head, so close he felt the heat burn his hair. The council chamber was completely silent, everyone watching, everyone shocked. This human was surviving. How? Kroner was getting frustrated. 3 times he attacked. 3 times the human dodged. This wasn't supposed to happen. Humans were weak, slow, easy targets. But this one was different. "Stand still," Kroner roared. His voice echoed like thunder. "Fight me like a warrior." Marcus was breathing hard. His body was screaming. Every muscle burned. Every nerve was on fire. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't trained for this, but he was still alive. "His anger is growing," Zara called from outside. The barrier. "He's losing control. His emotions are wild now." Good, Marcus thought. Angry fighters make mistakes. Kroner charged again, this time faster, harder. His plasma axe cut through the air with a terrible sound. The orange blade left trails of fire. Behind it, right side. Zara screamed. Marcus jumped right, but he was too slow. The axe caught his left arm. Not a direct hit, just a scratch. But the heat burned through his sleeve. Pain exploded through his body. Marcus stumbled. Blood dripped. From his wound, the smell of burned flesh filled his nose. The council chamber erupted with noise. Aliens cheering, laughing. Finally, the human was hurt. Yes. The Krillian ambassador shouted with joy. "Finish him, Kroner. Cut him into pieces." Kroner smiled. His razor teeth gleamed. "First blood, human. Soon, all your blood." Marcus gripped his injured arm. The pain was terrible, but he couldn't stop. Stopping meant dying. Marcus Serra's voice was desperate. "Are you okay? Please respond." "I'm fine." Marcus lied through clenched teeth. "Keep reading him, don't stop." Kroner approached slowly now. He was enjoying this moment. The fear in his prey's eyes. The blood on the floor. Victory was coming. "You know what I love about killing?" Kroner said casually. "The moment when hope dies. I see it in their eyes. The exact second when they realize it's over." He raised his axe. "I want to see that moment in your eyes, human." Marcus looked around desperately. The fighting circle was 20 meters wide. No cover, no weapons lying around. Just smooth metal floor and energy barriers. "Think," Marcus told himself. "Think." His eyes landed on the floor beneath Kroner. The Drachner was heavy, very heavy. His feet pressed deep into the metal with each step. The floor was already damaged from the plasma axe hits. Weak spots everywhere. An idea formed in Marcus's mind. Crazy, dangerous, probably stupid, but it might work. "Zara," Marcus called out. "When I say now, tell me exactly what he's feeling. Every detail. Don't miss anything." "I understand," Zara replied. Kroner laughed, still making plans. "There are no plans left, human. Only death." I charged Todd full speed. All power. His axe raised for the killing blow. The floor cracked beneath his massive feet. "Now," Marcus shouted. "He's completely focused on you." Zara yelled, all his rage, all his attention. "He's putting everything into this one attack. He's going to do an overhead strike. Maximum power. He won't be able to stop." Perfect. Marcus waited. 1 second, 2 seconds. Kroner was almost on him. The axe coming down. Death approaching at the last possible moment. Marcus didn't dodge sideways. He ran forward, directly at Kroner. The Drachner's eyes widened with shock. He wasn't expecting this. His axe was already swinging down. He couldn't change direction. His massive body was committed to the attack. Marcus slid on the metal floor. He went right between Kroner's legs. The axe hit the ground behind him with explosive force. The weakened floor couldn't take it. Cracks spread everywhere. The metal groaned, and then it collapsed. Kroner fell. His heavy body crashed through the broken floor. His arms waved wildly. His axe flew from his hands. He landed hard on the level below with a thunderous boom. Marcus didn't waste a second. He grabbed the fallen plasma axe. It was heavy, burning hot, almost impossible to hold. But he held it anyway. He jumped down after Kroner. The Drachner was on. His back stunned, confused. The fall had knocked the air from his lungs. Marcus landed on his chest. He pressed the plasma blade against Kroner's throat. "Yield," Marcus commanded. His voice was hard, cold. Yield or die. The chamber above was completely silent. Every alien staring down through the hole in the floor. Kroner looked up at Marcus. For the first time, fear appeared in his black eyes. Real fear. "How?" Kroner whispered. "How did you do this?" Marcus leaned closer. "Because I didn't fight alone." He looked up at Zara. She was crying, but smiling too, pride shining in her silver eyes. Kroner closed his eyes. His body relaxed. "I yield," he said quietly. "The human wins." The council chamber was frozen. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Thousands of aliens stared at the impossible scene before them. A human, a weak, primitive human, standing over the greatest Drachner warrior, victorious. This wasn't supposed to happen. Marcus climbed out of the hole in the floor. His body was shaking. His arm was bleeding. His clothes were torn and burned. But he was alive, more than alive. He had won. Zara ran toward him. She crashed into his arms, tears streaming down her purple face, her whole body trembling with relief. "You did it?" she whispered. "You actually did it." Marcus held her tight. "We did it. Together." The council leader rose slowly from his ancient chair. His gray face showed no emotion, but his eyes were different. They held something new. Respect, maybe even fear. "The human has passed the test," he announced. "The partnership proposal is valid. Earth may proceed with the genetic alliance." Some aliens applauded. Others sat in stunned silence. But one alien was neither applauding nor silent. The Krillian ambassador was furious. His green scales had turned dark, almost black. His yellow eyes burned with hatred. His clawed hands gripped his seat so hard the metal bent. "This is unacceptable," he roared. "This human cheated. He used the Valara female's abilities. That's against the rules." The council leader shook his head. "There were no rules, Ambassador. You know this? Combat tests have no restrictions. The human simply used available resources. That is intelligence, not cheating. Intelligence." The Krillian laughed bitterly. "You call this intelligence. I call it desperation. Pathetic desperation from a dying species helping another dying species." Marcus stepped forward. His fear was gone now, replaced by something stronger. Anger. "Why? Do you hate them so much?" Marcus demanded. "What did the Valara ever do to you?" The Krillian smiled. It was an ugly smile, cruel and cold. "You want to know the truth, human? Fine. Let me tell you a story." He walked to the center of the chamber. Every eye followed him. Even Zara stopped crying. Something about his voice made everyone listen. 15 years ago, the Krillian began. Our scientists discovered something on the Valara homeworld, an energy source. Hidden deep underground, more powerful than anything in the galaxy. Zara's eyes widened. "What are you talking about?" "We asked your people to share it," the Krillian continued. "We offered fair trade, reasonable terms, but your council refused. They said the energy was sacred, not for outsiders." His smile grew wider, more evil. "So we took matters into our own hands." Marcus felt cold. A terrible feeling spread through his chest. Something very bad was coming. The disease, Zara whispered. The disease that killed our males, ... It's created by us, the Krillian confirmed proudly. Our scientists designed it perfectly. It targeted only Valara males. We released it secretly. Your people never suspected. The chamber exploded with shocked voices. Even aliens who had mocked Zara looked horrified. Genocide. The Krillians had committed genocide. Zara's legs gave out. She collapsed to her knees. Her silver eyes were wide, empty, broken. You murdered them, she breathed. Millions of innocent people, children, fathers, brothers, you murdered them all. We removed an obstacle, the Krillian corrected casually. We expected your species to die completely. Then we would take the energy source. Simple, clean, efficient. He glared at Zara with disgust. But you females survived, somehow. And now this stupid human is giving you hope. Giving you a future. Marcus moved to Zara's side. He knelt beside her, held her shaking hands. This changes nothing, the Krillian announced loudly. Even with human help, the Valara are finished. And if Earth continues this foolish alliance, we will destroy them too. He turned to the Council, who stands with me, who agrees that these weak species must be eliminated. Silence, long, uncomfortable silence. A few aliens shifted nervously. Some looked away. But none stood with the Krillian. Cowards, the Krillian spat. All of you, cowards. Marcus slowly stood. His injured arm hung at his side. But his voice was strong. You just confessed to genocide, Marcus said. In front of the entire Galactic Council, in front of thousands of witnesses, the Krillian laughed. So what? Who will stop us? You, your primitive planet. Marcus smiled. It surprised everyone. Even Zara looked up at him with confusion. Why are you smiling, human? The Krillian demanded. Marcus reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small device. A tiny light blinked on its surface. Because, Marcus said calmly, this whole conversation has been broadcast to every planet in the galaxy, including Earth. The Krillian's face went pale. Earth's fleet has been listening to everything. And they're not alone. The Krillian ambassador's confidence shattered. His yellow eyes stared at the tiny device in Marcus's hand, that small, blinking light, broadcasting everything. Every word, every confession, every crime to the entire galaxy. You tricked me, the Krillian whispered. No, Marcus replied calmly. You tricked yourself. Your arrogance made you confess. I just made sure everyone heard it. Suddenly, a hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. A woman in a military uniform, gray hair, sharp eyes. The Earth flag on her shoulder, Admiral Chen, commander of Earth's defense fleet. Greetings, council members, she said firmly. I hope you enjoyed the show. The council leader stood quickly. Admiral, this is highly irregular. Earth has no authority to what? Admiral Chen interrupted. To expose genocide, to reveal mass murder. I think every species has that authority. She turned to face the Krillian ambassador. Her eyes were cold as ice. After your little confession, something interesting happened. 37 species contacted us. 37, all with similar stories. The Krillians threatened them, attacked them, stole from them. But everyone was too afraid to speak. The Admiral smiled. They're not afraid. Anymore. Another hologram appeared, then another, then dozens more. Aliens from every corner of the galaxy, all standing together, all united against one common enemy. The Krillian ambassador stumbled backward. This is impossible. We are the strongest. Military force in where Admiral Chen corrected. You were the strongest. But right now, 200 warships from 12 different species are surrounding your homeworld. She leaned forward. Surrender. Now or face consequences. The chamber erupted with noise. Kalians shouting, celebrating, crying with relief. Years of fear and oppression were ending. Right here. Right now, the Krillian ambassador looked around. Desperately, his allies were gone. His power was broken. His species was defeated. Without another word, he ran. He pushed through the crowd and disappeared through a side door, running from justice, running from shame. But he couldn't run forever. Marcus watched him go. He felt no satisfaction, no joy. Only exhaustion. His body finally gave up. His legs collapsed beneath him. Zara caught him before he hit the ground. "Marcus," she cried, "someone help. He needs medical attention." Aliens rushed forward. Doctors from different species, working together, helping a human who had changed everything. 3 months later, the Valara's homeworld was healing. New buildings rose from the ashes. Gardens bloomed again. Children's laughter filled the air. Not Valara children, not yet. But soon, the first human. Settlers had arrived. Volunteers from Earth, scientists, doctors, teachers, families willing to start new lives on a distant world. And with them came hope. Marcus stood on a hilltop overlooking the main city. His arm had healed. But he carried a scar now. A permanent reminder of the day he changed history. Zara appeared beside him. Her purple skin glowed in the sunset. Her silver eyes reflected the orange sky. The council made their decision, she said softly. Marcus turned to her. The Krillian Empire is dissolved. Their leaders will face trial. Their weapons are destroyed. Their victims will receive compensation. She paused. Justice is finally happening. Marcus nodded slowly. It wasn't enough. Nothing could bring back the millions who died. Nothing could erase the pain. But it was a start. There's more, Zara continued. The council created a new organization. The Alliance of the Forgotten. 4 species who were ignored, abandoned, left to die. Who leads it? Marcus asked. Zara smiled. They want you. Marcus blinked. Me? I'm nobody. Just a junior diplomat. You're a hero, Zara corrected. You stood up when everyone else sat down. You fought when everyone else ran. You showed the galaxy what one person can do. She took his hand. The universe needs more people like you, Marcus. He looked at their intertwined fingers. Purple and pink together, 2 species, 1 future. I didn't do it alone, Marcus said quietly. I had help. Zara squeezed his hand. That's exactly the point. Alone, we're weak. Together, we're unstoppable. 5 years later, the first human Valara child was born. She had her mother's purple skin and her father's brown eyes. Her name was Hope, because that's what she represented. Scientists were amazed. The genetic fusion worked perfectly. The children inherited Valara emotional sensitivity and human determination. They could feel what others felt. And they had the courage to act on it. Within a decade, the Alliance of the Forgotten became the strongest force in the galaxy. Not through weapons, not through fear, through kindness. Marcus watched his daughter play in the garden. Zara sat beside him. They were older now, gray hair appearing, wrinkles forming, but happiness filled their hearts. Do you ever regret it? Zara asked, standing up that day. Risking everything. Marcus looked at his family, his world, his universe. Never, he said. Not for 1 second. Zara leaned against him. The galaxy is different now, because of you. Marcus shook his head. Because of us, he corrected. always because of us. The end.